Hello, everybody. This is the deep dive with myself, George, and I've got Hadi today. It's been a good time.
Oh,
Obviously, we met briefly, I think, in Toronto for playoffs, but
yes.
yeah, I just wanted to ask, like, how did you find Toronto?
Toronto was really fun. I liked it. I liked it somehow this year more than last year, even though it was the same venue and everything. But this year is just like, I mean, probably because it was grand finals and stuff, just like the vibes and everything, more people, meeting everyone. Also, probably a reason that a lot of people assumed that it was the last Overwatch League event, even before anything happened. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like everyone wanted to come over, and just like a lot of friends, and a lot of the fans came and stuff.
Did you meet many fans when you were there? Because there was like, I saw there was a few players and they had like long lines. Like there was so many people trying to meet the Toronto guys as well.
Yeah. I met a lot of fans. When I was just walking around, I would get like stun locked for 30 minutes at a time, just taking pictures and stuff. But I appreciate it. It was nice.
It was good. I do really enjoy that venue actually. It is really sick. And you are right though. I think the vibe was odd because obviously no one really knows what's going down with Overwatch esports in the next year, well years to come, right? Like the next few years. So it was a bit strange. Obviously all the rumors are like, well, maybe the Overwatch League is going away, but maybe it's not. But it probably is. And yeah, it was a bit of an odd time, I think. And yeah, I'm glad you kind of brought that up. Like, what do you this? Okay, this is a mad question, but like, what do you hope for like Overwatch esports as a whole
Yeah,
going forward?
I think what I think, but also what I hope at the same time is I think it's gonna be more of a like regional format with like NA, Korea, EU having like their sort of regions, then playing like tournaments, then going out to like tournaments like different type of like DreamHack and stuff like that, like that Overwatch would like get played at DreamHack and stuff, and then maybe what I would really hope for, like we have that system, and then we would have like once or twice a year that like all the regions get like flown out to a LAN event and
Right.
have like a gauntlet type of matchup, you know, how they did like in Contenders back in the day, where
Yeah.
you would like get flown out and then have a worldwide event. I would like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're basically describing like the league system right now and also contenders back when I used to do it in 2018, 2019. Just like the regions, and then they meet like halfway through the year, and then they had the gauntlet. And I thought the gauntlet was sick. I thought that was a
Yes.
very, very good time. Like the last gauntlet that we did in 2019, it was in Korea. It was in the Apex studio, like the OGN studio when it was still around, which was fucking awesome. So that would be quite good. Would you compete in EU or would you prefer to compete in NA if that was the case?
Uh, I would I would probably compete in EU just because Europe is like home for me and stuff. So
Yeah,
I'd probably go back to Europe as soon as I can and would compete in Europe then.
yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, it being in America is a bit different, I think, from a lot of Europe. Have you enjoyed your time though
No, no,
in LA?
I like LA. The thing
Yeah,
is, in NA, and I mean, I've not seen crazy amounts of NA because it's
yeah,
like
that's fair.
huge, you know. But I've seen like Cali and Los Angeles, and a lot of people say it's like different than America as a whole. But I enjoy my time here in LA and Cali. It's like everyone is super friendly. Like I just walk around randomly and I go like to the gym, walk to the gym, and there's just random people I've never seen and they're like super nice and you can have conversations with them. If you go to Germany, everyone looks like they hate you. They don't want to talk to you ever. But it's kind of a vibe, you know what I mean? It's kind of
Yeah,
like that's the European type of depression vibe, and I kind of fuck with that vibe, to be fair. But
that's so funny because I get the exact same feeling when I go to Germany. Like it's just like no one's there to bother you or anything. You're just there doing your own thing. Like no one's there fucking around. Just
it's
like
true.
no, I totally get it.
But yeah, I like NA, but might be time to go back to Europe and see what's up there.
Yeah, go back to your roots, I guess. What
Yes.
was Overwatch your first competitive game, or was it?
It was. It was. Before I was like just playing super casually. I talked about like the most competitive game I played before Overwatch was like Super Smash Brothers, and I just but like not at all at a stage where I was like good to like be on the internet. I would just like play it semi-competitively and
Oh
like
shit, who's your main?
Nah, I would just like play heavies, bro. I was like,
Oh, okay.
I was just like a cheese player. I would like play Bowser and shit and fucking DK and stuff. But I was fucking ass. But I was trying, and then I just play Overwatch after. And I mean, I guess I still play heavies in
Yeah, I
this
was gonna
game.
say the
So
translation between Bowser and like Ryan, or like DK and Ryan, like is perfect.
it's
You always a tank player then? Did you start out playing tank, or because I
yeah,
speak to a
yeah.
ton of players, man, and they're like, yeah, I was DPS, and then I switched to support, like, or I was DPS switched to tank.
Yeah. But no. I was always playing tank. I was like, I played season one on PS4 because
Oh,
I didn't have a PC. Like it actually it's I wasn't a PC gamer at all. I was just a console gamer. I was kind of a Nintendo kid, you know. I didn't grow up with shooters. I grew up with like Super Mario and stuff like that. So I didn't have a PC at all, so I was playing on PS4 first season, and then I was like, oh, maybe I should get a PC because I probably because I saw a lot of YouTubers and like Overwatch looked so cool, and I was like, oh, this game looks kind of more fun on PC. Maybe I should try to get into that and got a PC. But I was always playing Rhine. I remember like my first season was like probably most played Rhine and Diva, and like I would like play Rhine, Diva, and Mercy stuff,
what the hell? Okay,
but more like Ryan and Diva, Uh,
right.
and then like because you had to flex back in the days, you know. If I had to flex to support, I would play Mercy. But all of the more like non-mechanical characters, because I've never fucking held a mouse to aim in my life before playing Overwatch, so I would just chill. Yeah.
What was the highest rank you got in your first season on PC?
My first season was season two of Overwatch, and I got plat.
Oh hell
Then
yeah,
I got
Warlord.
plat. I got plat. Then season three, I got diamond, and then season four, I got GM.
Oh shit.
So my account looks kind of boosted because I went from like diamond to GM, and then I was like hard stack G like 4K to 4.2K for a couple seasons, and then like for like 5 6 seasons or something, and then I went up to like 4.4 4.5 and then slowly to the 4.6 and good SR type ranks.
Yeah. Okay. What was the highest SR you ever achieved?
It's probably like 4 6 60 something, I
Oh
think.
shit. That's quite for a tank player, especially around those times. I feel that's quite good because it's normally the DPS players that were like 4.7. You know.
Yeah, Sparker has 4.7
Yeah.
peak when he was forcing Ash Mercy like every game back in the day. But I got the 4660 peak when it was like without like stacking and all that stuff. Because a lot of players they got like a a lot of the like 4.7 or like even 4.8 peaks come from like a time where you could like four stack and uh like four stack and abuse matchmaking in some weird ways and play at night times. A lot of people got like their super high peaks there, but I got the 4 6 60 peak in an honest way, so I'm
An
proud of that
honest
in a
tank
way.
player through and
Yes.
through. I do remember
Yes.
those stacking groups though, because when I was in, when I was doing contenders back in like 2018, I remember at one point, I probably still have the screenshot somewhere of this French stack that was stacking NA
It
queues.
was always the French
Yeah, it
stacks,
was the
bro.
French stack, and then I think a Spanish stack sniped them in NA. So it's like the French team versus the Spanish team playing
In
on North
NA.
American servers because North American servers at that time no one was on, And they, yeah, dude, that was so stupid.
Yeah. A lot of people tried a lot of shit to get us out back in the day. I remember that.
It's ridiculous, man. Do you think they should bring back stacking? Because that's like a big thing at the moment. Everybody's like, yeah, you should be able to three stack in like top
Oh, I
500 and
don't
stuff.
know. Probably not, to be honest. People always say it like it would be better, but I think it's like the grass is greener on the other side situations, You're like, oh,
Oh yeah.
this would be sick, and then once it happens, you're like, please remove this as soon as possible, because you remember like free stack screenshots
Yep.
back in the day, the like classic screenshot. Who was it? Jonak?
Jonak.
Kafe, I think.
I think it was
No.
Jonak, Carpe, Mako, maybe.
Yeah, it was like an insanely fucking
Yeah.
stacked trio, and you could just not compete that, and you would have like Mickey Mouse, Ronald McDonald, and Peter Griffin, and their free stack against that, and you're just like, I'm not even gonna bother to play.
I feel like I have that screenshot as well. And it was like
Yeah.
rank 1, 2, 3, and like maybe 4, like in one
Yes.
team, in one stack, all green names. And it's like,
Yes.
how, you're right. Like, how can you deal with that? Like,
Yeah.
you just can't win. It just, man, the matchmaking will be so, like, it kind of is a little bit wacky at the top still because of the player
Yeah.
base, but like, it would be even more like ridiculous if stacking came back. I think a
Yeah.
lot of it is like content creators want to stack with each other, but they can't
Yeah.
because of things.
I mean that's kind of fair, but it's also they put in this system, right, where you could five stack now on high ranks, and nobody just uses it
No.
because like you get you can't get a game using the system because like that that's like exactly what I mean. People always say they want something. Once they get it, they're like, it's kind of boring. People also say they want to like take ranked super seriously, get the free stacks, get the competitive, have like a face it sort of clan system where like you have a ladder in between for teams and stuff. But what is like really honest, a lot of people want to try hard in ranked, but also only to a certain extent. A lot of people just
Yeah.
want to chill in ranked, like semi-chill, not give it their 120% tournament slash scrim level. A lot of people just want to chill a bit.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Because like, I've never met a player. I've never been in a lobby recently where like everybody's talking and like tryharding and stuff. Like
No, no.
that is over now. Like that phase of the game I think is done. But it does make for a more chill experience in like high ranks and high lobbies at least, because at least you can go in there and you're not getting screamed at by some motherfucker that you're not doing well.
It's
Like
true.
if it
It's
does feel better even when people aren't like 110%, 120% trying all the time. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
you need to get like the balance. Like the 120% try hard is like annoying, but it's also annoying when you're having the full like laid back people only talking to the chat and like the 40%. If you have like the 60, 70, 80, like people making some in-game comms, but you're also like chilling and nobody's taking it insanely seriously, it's like I think it's like the best environment you can
yeah,
have.
especially for high rank, like I think, because everybody's on the same, almost on the same level of understanding anyway. So it's
Yeah.
like a lot of things are a given, which is very different from like lower ranked games. Yeah, I did want to ask you actually, like when your first team was, or like when you got picked up, because you went from PS4 to PC,
Yes.
Plat, Diamond, GM. Like, when was the first time you got picked up for a team or like tried out?
I don't know exactly when, but I just remember my first like my first teams were like German teams. I was like, because I was just playing, like, and to be honest, I didn't even have fucking any friends when I booted up the game. I would just fucking play, and then I would like meet people in like ladder. You know, like
Yeah, no, I feel it.
I would literally make friends in ladder, and I would just like chill and then met some German people. They were like similar level to me, like 4K, 4.2K, and they're like, "Oh, let's just make a team for fun." It was like the times of the game where you would just make a team for fun, and we would just like scrim for fun while I was like doing my school stuff and everything, and we would just like scrim occasionally, and yeah, that I did that for like a year maybe, and then I would like ring for contenders teams sometimes, and kind of got into the scene that way, and people started to like know my name, and then I would play in tier 3, get like up the ranks, play open division, and then play contenders trials, and then I got so first my first like team with names was HSL
Oh
esports,
yeah.
but it was with like not the contenders version of HSL. It was like the open division version. So I had like hybrid Chronos on my team in HSL, and I remember that open division season, top 4 made it to trials, but we got fifth place in open division, and
Oh.
we were so heartbroken. We were so heartbroken back in the day. I remember that. But then was kind of the level where people then started to know you, and you would like go into like tryouts. Then I got into like a contenders trials roster in North America called Luminance, and
Oh, okay.
we actually we absolutely shit the bed, and, and didn't really win many games. And throughout that entire contenders trial season, I had SMCEU always message me and be like, "Yo, we wanna pick you up as our tank player for contenders," and I was like super rookie, so I was like, I mean, I still am, but even more back in the day, I was like fully on like loyalty and everything. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna switch up on my team. My team needs me here in NA trials, and I had SMC always message me. They're like, yo, come over, and I'm like, no, bro, no, I have to play for a team. I can't let my team down. I can't just like ditch on them. But didn't work out with Luminance, and then after the season was done with Luminance, I went to SMC, but it was like so late that they only took me as a sub, and they had Crocs play as main player, because they had like a month of scrims with Crocs or something, and they were like, yeah, we still want you, but we just get you as a sub. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair, you know, because I didn't accept the request instantly and stuff. So I was fine with that. So my first full contenders team on trials, SMC, I was sub for them. I was just like trying to be a good sub. I would sit in every scrim, make some notes, try to give some coaching advice, like watch Crocs's POV on Reinhardt and like make notes, send it to him, talk to him, you know. And then it was kind of ghost meta at that time, but I don't know if you remember. Then like we had in Europe we had Clockwork Vendetta. That
Yes, yes. The
yeah,
one trick team.
the one trick team, the Orisa Hawk with Minimi and Moose, and they kind of broke the meta. So even though it was like goats, people couldn't play goats anymore. So it kind of shifted even before the 2-2 roll log. It shifted at least in Europe to like the Orisa Hawk or like Orisa-ish metas. So then SMC put me in as the Orisa guy. So I would play Orisa for like 1 or 2 officials. And from me playing Orisa in like 1 or 2 officials, and then it was 2019 in this whole timeline. I played like a bit for I played for Team Germany in like scrims
Oh, yeah, cool.
at that time. So from me playing like 1 or 2 officials as Orisa in Clockwork Meta, and me playing in Team Germany, that got me like scouted enough from like Nuki scouted me from Team Germany, and Crocs and Knox, the French coach. I don't know, you probably know him.
Oh, Nox, yeah.
Yeah, Knox, the
I do have a
French.
very vivid memory of Nox raging in my rank game before.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Nox is a bit of a rager, but he's a super good guy. I love
He is.
Nox.
He
I
is.
love
I do
Nox.
remember him rage switching onto Widow because our team wasn't winning on a
Yeah.
Nimbani for some reason. He was Winston, and we just started like I don't know, someone fed or whatever, and then he just
Yeah.
randomly switched to Widow and says GG, it's over, and leaves voice. I'm like, okay, sweet.
Fair enough, Nox. That's the French rage. But yeah, Nox scouted me from those two Orisa games, and Nuki scouted me from the team Germany, and then because Numlocked at the time was playing for British Hurricane, but
Yeah,
got to went to Team Envy, I think it was in NA contenders. So they needed another tank, and then I got on the tryout list, and I made it, obviously. Uh,
obviously, yeah,
yeah,
easy.
easy peasy. I made it. Then we had like a bit of a season where I was like just filling in, trying to like fit in with the structure of like Numlocked and everything. And we still had like Bucket and stuff as well. And it was a good season. I, like in that I remember in that season we were like playing like Monkey Dive and like Monkey Ball as well with like Doomfist, standard on Doomfist and like
Oh, Doomfist,
and
damn it,
and
holy.
Dennett on Doomfist and Pocket on Ana. Bok was so good on fucking Ana. He was so cracked, and we would just play in scrims, and we had like a 90% win rate in scrims, and we were so confident going into contenders playoffs, and then a fucking Giganti just counters us with the Orisa comp. It's oh we could beat everyone, and we would beat everyone in scrims, but then once we go into the official, Giganti beats us. So
That was the
yeah,
two titans of EU contenders. For those who didn't know, it was British
yeah.
Hurricane and Giganti. Like those two teams, best teams in EU at the time. Like unbelievable players, and a lot of those players made Overwatch League. Obviously, apart from Davin, who was like everybody was like he needs to make Overwatch League, and
Poor Devon.
yeah, Davin got rolled, never made the league. Not sure what his peak could have been, but yeah, no, maybe bigger than what he originally had in contenders. Sad stuff,
Hmm.
actually. Damn. A lot of
So
names lost to time too. Bockett too. He was a doctor as well, right?
he was a doctor. Like after
Yeah.
that season, he just went back to like, or like, I think he was being a doctor, like legit was
Yeah.
scrimming kinda. And then he was just like, okay,
Ridiculous.
okay. And then he was like, okay, never mind, guys. I'm just retiring. I'm doing this doctor stuff full time now.
That was
I,
insane. I do remember that because I remember having written that down at some point. I'm like, this guy, if he makes Overwatch League, if he makes wins contenders, maybe he goes there, or whatever. But I'm like, man, this guy's a fucking doctor. Like, he
he's
should just follow
legit
that.
doctor.
Like,
He's
what the hell?
legit fucking doctor.
The time that it takes to be a doctor as well, like the amount of hours you have to put in, plus playing as well,
Yeah.
like that's insane.
Yeah, the amount of hours you have to be a doctor and be a professional player. I don't know how he did it. And super good teammate at insane Ana player. So yeah. But yeah, that's kinda my TLDR, my speedrun journey from like noob to British Hurricane.
Well, you literally followed what Blizzard had kind of set out and laid out, right? The path to pro. You're a
Yeah.
PlayStation 4 player, then you were Plat on PC, Diamond, GM, 4.6, boom, straight OD trials contenders, and then Overwatch League, obviously, with Spitfire now. I got one of the t shirts on as well, by the way.
I love that.
On
I love it.
Spitfire. It's
You're
very
rapping.
comfy. I like it. It's
Yes.
yeah, it's literally what Blizzard set out to do was create a path for people, and obviously you and a lot of the British Hurricane people as well. To be fair,
Yeah.
ended up making it. What was your like fondest memory from back then? Like back in your come up, have you got any like big moments that stick out to you?
Let me think. Let me think if I got a big moment. I don't know. I just remember if I look back, I just remember I was so different. I was like a nervous little kid. I remember going into like those, I actually still remember going into those like the first few scrims with British Hurricane, even like, because I was playing tryouts with them, but then but but then I would like even they would sign me, and I would like go into the Discord with them, and I was like, hey guys, what's up? And it was so fucking awkward. Like that is like, oh, okay. I guess this fucking random fucking piss slow tank players on our contenders roster now. Like I could feel like the vibe was like that because I was like a hard rookie, you know, like I was like a hard rookie, and but it was like I was like I was so intimidated of the whole vibe, but. Sometimes you have to do stuff that feels like very intimidating, you know, and like that's like above you to get to where you want to be. But I just remember that the whole time I was just feeling like, oh fuck, these are the big boys. These are the big boys, you
You want to
know.
make a good first impression, basically.
Of course, I wanted
Yeah,
to
you
like
don't want to
make.
go in and be like, yeah, fucking stuttering and shit like that. Like,
Yeah,
make a good
yeah, yeah,
impression. Obviously, you made a
yeah,
good
yeah.
impression. Now you're in the league, right? So yeah, not so much a rookie
Yeah,
anymore.
not too bad, not too bad. But
Yeah, exactly.
I changed a shit ton. If I remember, I was just like a nervous little kid. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, and now
I
you're like
don't.
flexing on stage and shit, doing push-ups last year on stage,
Yes,
and
yes.
it's just another day now. Just another day getting up on stage playing.
Just another day in the office.
Yeah, exactly. What was your been your favorite kind of moment in the Overwatch League?
Oh, which league? It's like it's weird because it's so recent, but like the whole like turnaround of this season is for sure my favorite memory as a whole is just like turning the season around, crazy play-ins run. To be to be honest, like beating Atlanta on stage was super fun and it was everything was amazing. But even if you had to narrow that down that time period, it's for sure our play-ins run. Like our play-ins run was just like way too crazy. There's just no way. That was like so insane. We were playing so many games. I remember that day where we had to play 2 games. I was like cranked out of caffeine, like 700 milligrams in my bloodstream, and I was just fucking tweaking. I had, I got like a fucking headache of the caffeine, not of lack of caffeine, but like I had a fucking headache, and I was just trying to.
Oh,
I was just playing, and I was just in the zone, and everything was so fucking. Everything was so intense, you know. We had to win 2 games. I- If we lose, we're out. If we win, we go to playoffs, and everyone was so happy, and everything was so nice. I think I will forever remember that. Like that
yeah.
will be the
You'll probably
peak.
remember the headache too. Fucking hell, that sounds
Yeah,
crazy. I mean, hey, but you just kind of get over it, right? And you're in the moment. The adrenaline's pumping and it's hitting,
of
and then
course,
you just boom, you're winning games. It,
of
it was an
course.
insane run, obviously making it to playoffs too, and then, man, that first game, the you in Atlanta was one of the most ridiculous showings you've seen at playoffs, like ever. I think, at least in recent
Yeah,
memory in Overwatch
yeah,
2.
yeah.
Like, my God, that was crazy. Like, no, everybody was like, yeah, well, obviously Atlanta win, they're like the better team and stuff. But then the crowd went like crazy. It's hard to describe.
The
It's
crowd
hard to
was so
describe.
sick. The
It
crowd
was
was so sick.
so awesome. And like it's hard to like put it into perspective when you're watching at home and whatnot, but like when you are there live and when you've got your headset on and like we've got our headsets on and casting and stuff, like the whole room just like vibrates
Yeah,
and it's just like shaking.
because we have these pilot headsets, right? That are like super noise canceling. But even with the super noise canceling pilot headsets, whenever something crazy happens, you can hear everything. You can still hear the crowd, and everything is shaking, and it's just fucking crazy. It was such a good time.
Like you guys and Spark were like the heroes, I think,
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
playoffs. Like both those teams, just you end up obviously Spark had a big player fan base anyway. So did yourselves, like just from your run throughout the regular season, the play-ins and whatnot. But like you guys garnered fans on that day. Like there were so many
yes.
people supporting you. Like everybody was going crazy. And same
It
with the
was
Spark when
so
they were trying to make
nice.
their run. It was just yeah, it
I
was
was actually
unbelievable.
impressed when I was just walking around the venue or like meeting fans. There were so many Spark fans, like so
Yeah.
many, an insane amount of Spark fans in the venue. So I just wish we could have played them instead of playing Boston
I
46
know
times. I
that
was,
that was so unlucky too because if you
s-
didn't play Boston, probably would
s-
have made it further. They were just
yes,
They were
Boston
just the
just had
kryptonite.
our number. Boston just
Exactly.
had our number.
How did you feel going into it for the second time? Because you must have been, you've been. It's like, oh, we've done this before. Like you said, you played them for the 46th fucking time. Like, how did it
Yeah.
feel going into that
The thing
last
is,
time?
in every time we played them, the thing as a player, sometimes you have like, okay, if we play really good, we can win. Or you have like, oh, we probably shouldn't win this game, you know? If you know you're gonna play a dive matchup, if you play a dive and you versus Atlanta in their prime, you're probably like, oh guys, let's just try our best, but we're probably not winning this one, even if you're trying to have a super good attitude. But versus Boston, I always coped myself that we would win. I always thought that we would win every time we play them, and I was full confident every time where we would play them that we would win, and it just maybe that was the fucking mistake, because like I don't know. Was Atlanta? I was confident as well because we're like really strong in the dive, like Ryan versus dive matchup. We were like insanely strong at, especially at that time in playoffs. So I was confident, but I was also like in the mindset of, yeah, if we play good, we win, and that's fine. But it was Boston. It was always something different in my mind that was just telling me that we're gonna win, but we just didn't. But the thing with Boston is, like, there's so much in hindsight, like that we could have like played like keep the exact same comp we would play and then just play Sigma instead of Ryan to like counter the Orisa. And then like if we had like a playoff structure where I would play Sigma versus the Orisa and play Ryan versus every other tank that's not Orisa, it could have like worked for a lot in playoffs. But that's always like you can always talk. Hindsight is easy to talk. Or like we also had a strategy with like uh, but in our regular season, probably saw it when we were playing versus Houston, where we would play Sombra sometimes versus Orisa
Yeah.
and like play to like shield and hack the javelin spin and just one shot the Orisa. So if we used like one of those strategies, maybe we could have won. But every time versus Boston, every game was a 3-1 with a map that we felt like we should have won. So it felt like we were so close to beating them, and it was like it felt too close to change strategy. You know what I mean?
Right.
It felt like one or two more plays go our way, and we just easily beat these guys. Like if they would have just 3-0'd us with a 4-minute time bank, we could have just been like, okay, these people just have our comp fully figured out. We need to change something. But it was always a 3-1 with like a dogfight, and we were like, oh, we just need to play a tiny bit better and to hit a tiny bit of outplays, and we win it next time, guys. It's fine. And we were just, and we just died on that hill, you know.
Oh, it was so rough. I think everybody was kind of dreading that London Spitfire would match up against Boston again, and obviously you did, and it was like, man. Obviously, everybody was kind of cheering for for London in that match as well, because it's
Yeah.
like, okay, they're going to do it this time, and yeah, I mean, I
Yes.
think you had the right idea going into it with a lot of confidence. I mean, sometimes there's something in the back of your head that says, hey, this is the time, like we're going to do it. We actually are going to do it.
I was thinking, like we should have gotten it. It would have been such a nice story too, like, because Boston would have been so pissed. Imagine they beat us 3 times. They beat us like in regular season. The first match, they beat us in play-ins. They beat us once at playoffs. If we would have knocked them out of playoffs after them beating us 3 times, they would have been so pissed. It would have been so funny, to be honest.
It would have
But
been such a sick storyline.
yeah,
Holy.
and that's yeah. If we would have played Hangzhou or Houston
Yeah.
or any of those
Houston would have
two,
been sick, actually.
yeah,
Or even Hangzhou, because you said you guys had a really good like
like
dive versus the Rhine matchup, right?
we honestly think Atlanta would have probably been harder than Hangzhou, you know, and we played really good versus Atlanta. So playing one of those teams instead of Boston, it would have been good.
Different story.
Uh,
I'm curious about your because obviously you were born and raised in Germany, I assume.
hmm
What were kind of the games you played growing up then? Because you said you were basically a console gamer, right? You're playing a little bit of
Yeah.
Smash like early on. What was like your first shooter?
Now my first
Like
shooter was Overwatch, brother.
just straight up, like that was your first shooter.
That's my first
Holy.
shooter. Then my first game where, like, my first proper shooter where you can shoot a gun. That's my
Oh my
my
god.
first game. I would like grow up. My first game was Donkey Kong 64 when I was really tiny kid. I would play Donkey Kong 64. Then I would play Mario 64 on the N64, and then I would just um, play like on DS, play on the Nintendo Wii, play on all of those consoles. I would just like play fun games and play super casually, just casual gamer on my Nintendo console. And then, I mean, probably Overwatch got me there because it was like a colorful, nice vibe, but it
Yeah.
also had but it also had guns. So also also picked that up. But a hero shooter always looked nice. But
Yeah.
I've never aimed with a mouse or even with a controller. I've never done anything. Never played any like shooter games before
That is
Overwatch.
crazy. It's like
Yeah.
it's funny because whenever you speak to a DPS player, they're always like, "Yeah, I used to play like
They're
CS
like,
or I
oh,
used to
I
play like other."
played CS and played COD and played
Exactly.
those.
But no,
I've never.
that's good though. Donkey Kong 64, Mario, and then straight into Overwatch, and then yeah, that's a
Yes,
incredible timeline actually. Were you studying before you joined the league, like university?
Yeah, not university. I finished in Germany. It's like you have there's a, there's like school. There's like three different types of schools. So there's one school for the dumb people. There's one school for the normal people, and there's one school for the really smart people. I was in the I was in the school for the really smart people for a bit, and then I was like, ah, fuck, this shit is too stressful. Then I went to the one for the normal people. So I finished my normal high school degree there with like very good grades to be fair, but to study you need to like to study at a university you need to then have like an extra year and a half going to like the smart school and just like finishing up on a bit of stuff to so you can study then. And I was doing that at the time, or like I was finishing my high school playing Overwatch, but then I was doing that at the time. And then Overwatch was kind of getting serious, and I gave myself a year, and I was like, oh, I didn't give myself a year with like the aspiration to make it as a pro, but more like I was like, I kind of just want to chill for a year and see and
Hey,
like
it's a
and
good
see
reason.
yeah and see what happens with life in general. That's kind of the advice I give to people as well, like always saying like going pro or stuff. I don't think you can easily go pro if you like put a gun to your head and you're like, okay, if I have to go pro and I have to grind now and I have to play 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, and I have to make it. I feel like if you put yourself in that, very hard to work. I haven't heard many stories of people who succeeded with that way. Most of the stories that I've heard of people succeeding is like having fun with it and just seeing where the journey brings them. That's like, and that's kind of what I did. I was just like having fun with it. Like, I was in no way of when I quit school or took a break from school, I was in no way of making Overwatch like a profession. I was just chilling. I was just being a little bit of a degenerate and chilling and just seeing where the journey brought me.
I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable though. Like a lot
Yeah.
of people in the UK, they take a year between we call it college and then
Yeah.
which is like the pre-university, which is like high school. So the year and a half or whatever that you said in the smart school, like that's
Mhm.
what we'd have in college, which is the prerequisite. And people
Yeah.
take gaps between then and then university, like
Oh
all the
yeah, yeah.
time. Yeah, just like a year break to do whatever, to go traveling or I don't know, just work and just
Yeah, yeah.
hang out and just because you've been in education so long.
It's
Like
true. You kind
you,
of like, oh, let's get a break. Let's go real
yeah,
life for a bit.
exactly. You don't want to like burn out too quickly, and then obviously then you go to university. Yeah, I mean, what would you have done in university? What were you like studying towards if you went?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't really have an insane passion in the like studying. I always told myself maybe I always had like big aspirations, so I was like maybe law or psychology or some sort of stuff like that.
Okay.
I had like big aspirations for that, but that was like the stuff that interests me. But if that wouldn't work out, I would just like go for a degree that gets me the money bags, to be honest, because like you can always have passion in life, but I think you don't need to fully have your job be your entire passion in life. Like there's so much more to life that like you can be passionate about, and having like a solid foundation of like money and being like not scared of not having enough money, I think it gives you a lot of security to like do other stuff you love in life. So that was what I was
I do
kind of
not blame
looking.
you in the slightest.
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
not blame
yeah.
you. Just like get money and then do what you want with the money. And
Yeah,
you don't have to
yeah.
like do what you want in the I think a lot of people nowadays are pretty lost about what they want to do. I mean, if I could go back and tell myself to take a different path, I definitely wouldn't because I love the path I'm on right now, but
Hmm.
I would definitely worry a lot less. I'd be like, don't worry, like it's
Yeah, yeah,
chill.
yeah.
Like holy
It's
shit.
always
It's
like,
not
oh, just chill out, bro.
yeah,
It's
it's
fine.
not going to kill you. Like
It's
this,
gonna
the end of
work
this
out.
is exactly right. I mean, and it does a lot of the time.
Of course.
As long as you push towards something, I think that's where people get lost. If you're not pushing towards anything, then there's an issue
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, I
You
agree.
have to have at least one or two goals that you're like wanting to go for, no matter how like grandiose they are, or like if there's money at the end of it, kind of thing.
No, I agree. You always need a goal in life. If you have a tiny bit of a goal and you're working towards something, it's always gonna work out, I feel like.
There's always a part. There's always something you can do. I mean, hey, that's advice for the younger generation out there and the younger pro players. Don't make it your whole life. Holy
Yes.
moly.
Yes, yes. Don't
That
stress yourself too much. If it works out, it's good. If it doesn't work out, something else in life will open up, you know.
exactly.
There's always these cringe sayings, but they're true, you know, when you say, "Oh, one door closes, another one opens." But it's fucking true. It always works out. If I look at my entire life, it's literally how life went. I had so many devastating moments where I was like, "Oh, life is fucking over," like literally, and I was like thinking, "Oh, the, I cannot be bothered to like keep going." But then you end up keep going, and then you're like, "Oh." Something actually opened up from this, and maybe in hindsight you would have literally went through all the suffering again if you could end up on the other side of the door. So sometimes you have rough patches in life, but maybe life is just testing you a tiny bit, and you have to go through some suffering to earn the reward, and you just can't see it quite yet. You just have to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Just like,
uh,
hey, you're going to get there eventually, no matter what it is. Any of those small goals could become big ones and other
for
doors can
sure.
open. It's funny because those sayings are pretty cringy. You think about them, like, man, they're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Tumblr sayings or like, like
Yes, yes.
Twitter motivational Twitter account sayings, like whatever. And it's just, well, actually, there's some meaning. There's actually some real meaning behind them. Like,
100%.
if you keep tweeting about it every day, it becomes cringy. But there is something there. Do you have any big like regrets about your career or like any regrets from
Oh,
coming up as a pro or even as a pro as well?
I have a lot of regrets, but like I have a lot of regrets, but they're more in private life, probably,
Hmm.
to be honest. But I also think if I didn't have those regrets, stuff would have not turned out the way it's turning out and turned out. But like I'm like I'm like a very perfectionist person in a way, so sometimes I lay down at night and I'm like, oh, if I would have just been smarter here and done this the proper way and and like if I'd done this, this would have been insane now. And but like, if you think about it, probably wouldn't. You know,
Yeah.
like there's probably a reason for everything to happen this way. And I'm really happy with life right now. Like I don't think I've ever been like on this level of happiness in my life. So I'm feeling pretty happy with everything. So I don't have too many regrets from professional career. I don't know, it sounds weird to say that as a regret. It sounds really weird to say that as a regret. I don't regret it in hindsight, but because like everything now has worked out and I'm at my peak happiness level and everything is good. But like I was always too fucking loyal to people and teams and stuff. I was always too loyal. It started with fucking the Luminance situation where I could have just instantly went to SMC, have a main spot as a player if I wanted to, if I wanted to ditch some people. I could have just done that, and then in Hurricane, when like the off season was to Owl, I c- like actually we can talk about this. This is like funny,
Okay.
and this is kind of funny because I'm remembering it now. Like the first like because I was obviously like winning like every game in like 2 years of Overwatch contenders with British Hurricane, and I was kind of like I mean, people were thinking I was good, you know, and I was coming from contenders as a rookie, and I had Overwatch League tryouts that were not just London Spitfire, obviously, and I was playing in those tryouts, and I had a tryout with Houston Outlaws, and
Ooh.
and they were like actually like I felt like the vibe was like it could have been something, and we wanted to like schedule another tryout, and I just ended up ghosting Junkbuck,
Oh,
I
no
think.
way.
I just didn't respond, and then I would not not even not with like a negative intention at all, but I just like stopped responding. I'm like, oh yeah, we have a contenders game there, and then that I don't know, and then I just looked at the DM like a week after, and I just realized that I just didn't respond to him, and I'm just like,
Oh, shit.
then I was like, oh, I guess this is over, but that's okay.
Gee, I mean, that is literally what we just talked about as well. Like, you closed that door by accident almost, right? And then
Mhm.
you opened another one, right, for British Hurricane.
Yeah, but I mean that was like the thing. I was like in Hurricane, and I always like in hindsight, there were like some teams that maybe I could have went to. I mean, I could have for sure went to another team if I like instead of London Spitfire if I wanted to. But I always wanted to just play with my British Hurricane boys in Overwatch League. But obviously then we had an awful 21 season. So
Yeah.
like so like at the time, like I'm saying, like the Luminance situation where I could have just snitched on Luminance and went to SMC as a main player in that 21 season. I was obviously biting myself, and I was like, ah, should have maybe not fucking ghosted Houston, or maybe I should have tried to get to Toronto because there was like another team I was talking to at that time. So
Right.
I was like maybe I should have tried it because I always had Spitfire like locked in my head, you know. I was like talking to other teams, but I was mainly talking to other teams to get like the salary number up for London, you know, to like because
That is
because
smart.
because you need like other offers. If you only have one offer, then you can't get the number up too high, you know. So, uh, but obviously, then in the 21 season, I was like going through so much pain and suffering, and I was like, maybe should have been smarter about that and not been so loyal again. You fucking bastard. I was thinking to myself. So but now everything worked out, you know? So that's what I'm saying. I had so many moments in my careers that were like, fuck, I should have been fucking smarter here. I should have been more selfish, should have been less loyal. I should have like thought about it this way. I should have like not have like this like friendship base and everything. But I that's wrong now, you know? That's fucking wrong because no, it worked out, you know? So that means I did everything correct. So,
Yeah,
so you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
all those years, I was telling myself that I'm trolling, that I did so many mistakes, but now I can tell myself like it was just like the path. So I think that's with like a lot of people of life. Sometimes you feel like you're doing a lot of mistakes, but maybe it's just the fucking path of life that's taking you somewhere, you know?
I mean, it is in a way. Yeah,
Yeah.
I 100% agree. I think with yeah, I can relate to that situation quite well actually because before I was in Overwatch, I did League of Legends. I
Mhm.
was like casting League, and I was like, you know, this is the game. This is what I want to cast. You know, and
Mhm.
then there was an opportunity for Overwatch and like contenders, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I should go for it. And I was taking advice from other people. I'm like, oh, but I really like League. I like Overwatch, but like I really like League right now, and I feel like my cast is getting super good. And then I don't know what persuaded me at that point. Maybe it was someone just saying go for it or whatever, and I was like, no, actually, no, I'm going to go for this like hard, and I'm just going to see where it ends up. And obviously, I'm here now, right? And it's just one of those paths. And you know, if
Yes.
I went the other way, maybe I'd be somewhere else. But I'm on this one now, and it's for the better. But there's yeah,
Yes,
I
as
can see
long
what you
as you
mean. It was like,
yeah.
oh, I'm such a dumbass. Like I shouldn't have done that. But it's like, well, actually, it was not really a regret. It was a regret in the time that I made that decision, but now it's like, no, it's perfect. Although I didn't
It's
really regret picking Overwatch after I did contenders in Ukraine. That was fun, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's good. I yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. But that's crazy that you had a try out with Outlaws. Actually, that's awesome. What team would have that? What team was that consisting of? Was that when Jake was a player?
I
Was
think
that
I
Jake
think it was
coach?
the one where they ended up picking up Django. You know, Django was
Oh,
playing.
okay.
Django was playing like the cracked Rhine player.
Yeah,
So that roster. I think Jake was playing some at the time. So
yeah. I can't remember what
I,
year
I'm
that was. Oh
pretty
my
s-
god.
I'm pretty sure. I think it was the the year, like it was 21, so it was when Jake and Joby were both on the roster and
Yes,
then would sometimes switch around. I think that's so I would have been playing with Jake
that would have
if
been
I
funny.
that would have been it would have been.
Holy. Is there like you said Django's like the Rhine god. Is there anybody you kind of look up to in the scene or like prior to like entering Overwatch League that you were like, oh, I want to be like them or like I, you know, aspire to be their kind of level of skill?
It was always like I mean people always ask me who are the best Ryans and stuff.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
so people always ask me that, and I always say that I think Super was always the best Ryan and playing for me against as well. Like I didn't have the opportunity to play with like players like a Bumper and Fisher and all of those like type of players, but when I was playing against Super, he was definitely the hardest Ryan to like shatter, and he was
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I always thought Super had like cracked reaction times. I was like looking at Super, and I would like play the Ryan versus him, and I just know like 95% of Ryans, I would just shatter here, and Super would just like swing, and then have like a one frame fucking
Oh, the
block.
one frame block.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
would always have the one frame block. Like he was just so clean with that. So I think like Super for sure the best Ryan I think in like history of the game, and then. But of course, since I'm a really aggressive player, I also took a lot of inspiration in like bumper play, and I was a big fan of bumper. And I think people always say he's a fucking feeder who got carried, but I was watching his POVs and stuff, and he was fucking cracked. He had some int moments, but he was insane, especially like uh, at his prime. When I was watching Goats, like, because I was like super invested there, because obviously I love Ryan and shit, and I was like watching all of that stuff, and back in the day, you had like it was on Twitch even, and you would have the command center with
Oh yeah, that was sick.
it was fucking sick, and I would just like watch the Ryan players POVs always during the live game, and it was just fucking sick. But like, I think like what the my take is like on the history of Super and Bumper. Bumper was like better for a while, but Super like improved massively like and then just was just better than Bumper, while Bumper was like not improving that much, you know. He was at, like at a good level, not but then not improving much, and Super was like skyrocketing his improvement and just got way better. But yeah, those like the players that take inspiration, Super, Bumper, and then I'm like a big fan of like Fisher as a player, like the Korean main tank player. I always thought he was like super cracked on like every hero. Unfortunately, doesn't play anymore.
Yeah,
I was I was
same.
like he's such an aggressive player. I was like thinking Overwatch 2 would really work out for him, but unfortunately he's not playing.
Well, but I mean, that means you're now the Rhine guy, you know? Like, that's what
Mhm.
everybody kind of knows you
Mhm.
for and knows Spitfire for as well. And I think what's really cool, I think, throughout the seasons of Spitfire, I think this iteration has been one of the coolest, and people identify with it a lot too. And, like, it's people just love your team because of, like, the personality of Rhine and just, like, you know, every comms check or like every kind of listening that we go into is just so funny. I don't know if you've seen the one recently, actually.
I saw that.
Yeah, the playoffs one was gold for
Backbone got
Spitfire.
so mad at me. Jamie got so mad at me. I just said that we won because they couldn't touch, and Jamie got so fucking mad at me. It was too funny.
It looked good. It looks so funny, and like yeah, the team does seem like just a bunch of
We,
laughs, and
yeah,
it's
we have good vibes over here. We have
yeah,
good vibes.
it's so sick. And obviously you're still in California. Before we started this, we were talking about the weather, but like my
Yeah,
god, it's gonna be like 30 plus over the next few days. And it's like fuck man, like
unbearable.
yeah, it's gonna be ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
What are your plans over the next few months? Obviously, you made a post the other day about streaming, content
Yeah.
creation, and stuff like that.
Uh, Yeah, I'm gonna stream, I'm gonna do content, like all that sort of stuff. I'm gonna stream a lot, get some YouTube content out, get some TikToks, some YouTube
Nice, nice,
shorts
nice.
going, get all that stuff going. I will do some coaching as well, like private coaching. I'm really confident in my like ability to coach, just like explain to people, and I've worked obviously with super good coaches in the past, so I'm really confident in that. And but also always get the question if or are you when I always say I want to grind content, people are like, oh, do you still want to do pro play? But yeah, I still want to do pro play. I still think there's like a lot to do there. So I'm gonna go if stuff doesn't go insanely unexpected, I will go to Saudi E-leagues in like a month or two for like that's gonna be like the next tournament. It's probably gonna be pretty like it's gonna be the most stacked E-leagues at least because like there's so many like even Korean players that are like LFT
Yeah, I
for it
saw
and stuff.
a lot of the Korean players are like LFT right now for the off
Yeah.
season tournaments. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's
could
good.
be
That's
good.
good. Yeah, I should have a pretty good team if the stars align. And like
Yeah,
we said, if the stars don't align, then it will work out either way. But yeah,
exactly.
and then I'll be there for whatever's next to come as well in like the European scene or whatever. Whoever wants to pay me a paycheck, a monthly paycheck, I will gladly take it. Whoever wants to do that, I will be there.
Be there no matter what. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, it's obviously a bit of a tumultuous time for like Overwatch esports. Not really sure what's happening. Even on like the casting side too, it's like hard to tell what's going down. And like obviously being a player as well, it's like well, you know, and I think you're making a good step in the right direction in like making content, doing coaching and whatnot. So I think anybody that's seen you on stage and stuff, that's an easy like, yeah, I could go to this guy if I want to learn Rhine or like I want to learn
Yeah.
tank play, right? So it's
Yeah, because I actually think that's like my take of like Overwatch. I think a lot of what Overwatch was like missing was like personalities in a way and like
yeah,
advertising their personalities and stuff. Like I was talking to Christopher as well. He's like a very big advocate on like streaming scrims. A lot of people don't want to stream scrims. Like the the wo- the World Cup right now was like happening and people would like start streaming their scrims, but then like I know like some teams, I think like France and somebody else kind of took like kind of put a stop on it, and we're like, okay, now we're getting too close to actual World Cup, so no more streaming of scrims. And then kind of people stopped, like people, Spain as well, I think, didn't want the streams to. The scrims to get streamed, but I think people just need to get a little bit more loose with it, because like it's honestly not that deep to stream your scrims. Like an Overwatch League, like I'm gonna keep it real. In Overwatch League, almost everyone has at least the leaked comms of what everyone is gonna play, and sometimes even has an inside red for some leaked VODs and stuff. Like people go crazy for like those sort of stuff. So fuck it, just stream the fucking scrims, get some content going, the fans get to interact with everyone, see the personalities, see how the people are actually behind the scenes, and it's gonna help your brand, it's gonna help the game, it's gonna help the esport. Like I'm really like down to just like get more like involvement. I think it's gonna like be really important for like the whole esports and the whole game to like just get more personalities going and like
Yeah.
get fans more invested.
Yeah, I mean, World Cup. I think World Cup in general has brought a lot of like more casual fans in it too. I mean, I did a companion stream with J3 the other day, and J3's not really like
Mm.
into Overwatch League or anything like that. He knows of it. He knows some of the players and like whatnot. He did play on stage obviously too, but
Yeah.
like the streamers are very much more on the casual side of things. And World Cup that brings a lot of people together, like the hardcore
Yes.
Overwatch league fans, contenders, etc., and then obviously the casual player base too, and like extra content around scrims. Like that's a win-win for everybody. Like
It's
straight
true.
up,
It's true.
it's so sick watching players, and I think that's a really good point too that you made. Like it really does build personalities too if you can hear comms, and like that's
Yes.
why people love comms check too because
Yes,
you see
Comsec
people
is
going
so
crazy.
sick. I
Yeah,
mean, even me as like an Overwatch League player, I'm always there for like Comsec, and like I'm just watching that shit and eating that straight up. Like it's so funny to just watch. Or like Toronto Defiant always did like, I don't know if you've watched their videos, but they did so amazing job on all of their videos. Like
yeah,
super
behind
high,
the scenes
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, super
Yes.
high quality produced and behind the scenes, and like amazing stuff. And it's just like makes you more invest in the players, in the team, in the org, and everything. Like I think like every team needs that, and but it's also like the players and the team's responsibility to build that as well. And then like streaming scripts, like people just need to like, how do
They
you
need to
say,
chill.
like
Just
like they just gotta stick up their ass, a
yeah.
bit. And they're like overthinking how much of an impact hiding strategy really has. Like they're taking a bit too much, like overthinking the actual impact of that. I really think that it doesn't have that much of an impact. And if you just loosen up the culture a bit, stream some scrims, get some content going, it will it will help everyone long term.
Yeah, that's a that's a really interesting viewpoint because I think with a lot of people that do end up watching Overwatch League or like any kind of esport, scrims is like almost this sacred thing, and like you mentioned,
Yes.
people are a little bit like, oh, what if our strats get leaked and whatnot, but like that's a really interesting viewpoint. Why do you think that is though? When it comes down to it, why don't you think it's as important as it could be, like hiding strats and stuff like that?
I mean, because there's like a multitude of factors. I think first of all, if a team wants to know your basic like comms, or like your basic strategies, if an enemy team really wants to know, especially like an Overwatch League and contenders, they will know. And like World Cup, they will know your strategy. If you want, like uh, a different strategy, you literally have to switch it on the day. Like that's literally what we like did at times in like Spitfire, or like in the playoffs. You like you're like we literally like you pick maps and scrims, because like some of your maps get picked, and like the enemy team wants to practice their maps, you want to practice your maps. And like at times when we had map pick for an opponent, we would pick a different map in scrims, So it would get leaked that we're practicing that map, so the enemy team would prepare for that map, and then we would just last minute say, no, we're picking this map to like throw the enemy off. Like
Oh,
that's like all of those like mind games and stuff is what everyone does, because there's like everything is secret, but everyone has moles in every team. Everyone has some fucking rats in every team that just have like friend. Everyone has friends in the different teams that just leak information, even though it's not allowed, and even though you shouldn't do that. Everyone does it. Like it's just like people want to win, so people do like whatever they can. So I think a lot of the stuff that people think is secret is not secret as much. And then I also think people are overvaluing like the strategy department. Like you load into a lot of scrims or like officials or anything, and you're like, oh, these people play like this, we just need to play like that. You have like your coach speech just be like, they just always do this. We just need to counterplay. We just need to do this. Then you load up in the lobby, and the game feels like entirely different. And like you just can't apply exactly what you like downloaded, what you think you can download and apply. It just doesn't work in the moment. And like I think people are like so afraid of like, oh, you're just gonna they're just gonna know what we do, but okay, they know what you do, but it's not gonna mean they're just gonna beat you instantly, you know? And if the culture opens up and everyone has access to everything, I think it's fine, you know? Like I don't think it's that deep and gonna make that much of a difference.
it might make everything a little bit more wacky too, right? If you're like,
Yeah.
well, everything's public, all the scrims are getting streamed, so like we need to do something different completely and like throw people off. It might make it more interesting in a
It
way,
might
right?
it might be more fun, you know, and then like
Yeah.
if you like if there's the culture of like usually we stream scrims, and then a team really is like, okay, we're not streaming this scrim, then you're like something is gonna like
Yeah.
cook up and something is gonna go crazy, you know, like. Or I mean, even if people don't want to like stream like every scrim, but there's gonna be like a lot of opportunities for like just get some like personalities out there, you know? Like if people don't want to stream their scrims obviously while tournament or week before tournament, that's completely understandable if people just don't want to do that. But there's gonna be like a huge like timeline, a lot of months where you can just stream scrims and people will get content out of it, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too as well, right? Getting content out of it as well. And like it gets it in front of so many more people too. Like not only the stream, but from the stream, you know, the team could upload it to YouTube or like
Yes,
and then if they upload it to YouTube, other people any kind of like tier 2 coaches or whoever, even just content creators in general might then use those streams for content and it just
exactly.
kind of it's just spreading the word in a way and like just getting it more visible. More eyes on a product is always a good thing, you know? So
Yeah, and I
yeah.
think if you stream it, you can get a lot of casual people who like don't even know like the pro scene. You can like slowly hook them up, you know, and
Yeah, right.
slowly get them invested into like the pro scene and maybe make a
Yeah.
lot of new fans, you know?
I mean, even players as well, like you said, building your own brand, and then you could VOD review your own scrims, and like, or
Exactly.
like you, for example, could watch like, oh, I'm gonna look at like Smurf and like how Smurf plays, and I'm gonna like
Yes.
VOD review Smurf or like VOD review, I don't know, Donghack or like something like that, and that,
Yeah, people keep it so secret in a way, but I think if you open that up, there's a lot of opportunities for
yeah,
some nice
for
content, you
everybody,
know?
right?
For
Everybody.
everyone.
Yeah, and
Everyone
it's not
wins.
gonna make the play worse. Or well, again, I do understand the viewpoint of like not wanting to share too much because you're,
Sometimes it hurts
but
people's egos too. That's
yeah,
also a thing.
right,
That I think that's a big thing of not streaming scrims or like keeping stuff more secret. People like, because in scrims, obviously, sometimes you just get 6-0'd, you know, and sometimes you just get shit on, and people have like their ego like attached to that a lot, and they're like, I I'm just getting shit on by this guy. I don't want that to be fully streamed to the public and fully available for everyone to see. But I also like I think that's like a big factor of people not really wanting to stream scrims because like puts nerves on a tiny bit. You know, it's almost like streaming scrims almost makes a scrim more high stakes, almost puts the scrim into like an official-ish level where people
Right.
start caring more about it. So I think that's also a reason why people don't want to stream scrims. But I just think it's gonna be better for like the future of the esport and your own brand, and you can build a brand and stuff like that. Your team can easier build a brand.
I think you could apply that to every esport as well. To be fair,
For sure,
like
for sure.
every esport, if you just started streaming CS scrims, like League scrims, Apex, etc. Well, actually, Apex is the one that they do stream scrims,
Exactly. Some esports
which
even
is quite
even
cool.
yeah, some esports even stream their scrims.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
really
talking
sick.
yeah, I was talking about this exact with like Christopher. We were like saying, oh, League of Legends is not streaming their scrims, but their esports maybe doesn't need to. You know, like their esports is big enough. They have an insane fan base. Everything
Sure.
is like going well for them. But like if the esports is like not that big, like if like Overwatch is like in a tier of like Apex or like Rocket League type beat, you know, like a smaller esports, like a not of League of Legends CS type esports. If you want to like make it grow, make it expand, make it work for everyone, maybe you have to do some stuff that League of Legends doesn't do, you know? And like Apex streams their scrims, why can't we stream our scrims, you know?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Apex Pro players are like big streamers, and that
Yes.
probably has a small impact on their streams too. Like Hal, like is the biggest. I think it's safe to say Hal's like the biggest Apex streamer.
Hmm.
Maybe Timmy and Asu maybe as well. But and Nicewig as well. To be fair, who like co-streams the scrims too, which is like yeah, which is even more insane. So like, there's a lot of like avenues for content and like building up a fan base. Because like when I see, because I follow like Nicewig and like Hal and stuff, and when I see like, oh, TSM is scrimming for the championships, I'm like, I'm gonna watch those streams like
Oh,
just
it's
to see
kinda
how it is.
sick, no? Like
It is.
I mean
Like I
I
wouldn't watch him every day doing like solo queue and stuff. Maybe I'll tune in every now and then, but like if he's streaming scrims, like I'll put that on my second monitor. Or I'll watch that for a bit when I'm eating lunch or something. Like
no, 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 but me too, exactly. Like even like I don't browse like I don't really watch Overwatch streams when it's just like people playing ranked. But like when like Cloudy puts on the SR peak check scrims or like they're putting on the Team Finland scrims, I'm watching that shit. I want to see what's
yeah,
going on there because like sometimes personalities clash. Sometimes like you just want to see what people say when like how they solve problems. You just want to see how they like react, how to solve problems, and you just want to see how they play, how they talk, what they do. Like it's so interesting and it's so fun to watch that I'm like, there's so much that could be done there, you know?
I really hope we do move into that direction, because I think it would be
Yeah,
so sick. Hey, I'd be streaming scrims as well, like, or like
for sure.
co-streaming scrims. Sorry,
Yes,
hell yeah,
yes,
I'd
yes.
be getting in on that shit because it's fun. It's really cool to see
Uh,
players in that like literal like David Attenborough like natural habitat kind of deal. You
yeah,
know, like
literally like in their
it's cool.
natural habitat,
It's really
where
cool.
where you're not like you're like, oh, you don't have to be a brand, you know? You're
Yeah,
actually more like human and people can see your full personality. I think it's really fun.
exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna like once I start scrimming in like Europe and stuff or whatever stakes to come, I'm gonna try to really advocate for that and get
Good.
people on the train and
Hey, I'll do the same thing over here as well if
have
I'm still in North America,
yeah,
because that
and
would be
have them buy
sick.
in on that, you know, have people believe that is the way.
It is. It really is. Hadi, I really do appreciate you coming on and talking. I'll give you the floor for like a couple of minutes if you want. If you wanted to like say anything to the people out there, or like I'll put all your links in the description too. But if there's anything you
Yeah.
wanted to kind of cap this off with, then go
Uh,
ahead.
Yeah, I don't have much, guys. Just like hit me with your Twitch Prime sub. Twitch, get me the Twitch Prime sub. Get a coaching session if you want. I'm a poor unemployed guy, no contract. Nobody is paying for my food, guys. Someone has to pay the food, so give me the Twitch Prime sub, please.
There
That's
you go.
all. That's all.
I'll put all Hadi's links down in the description. Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, everything like that. You can go follow him and give him your Twitch primes as well, so he can afford his next meal. But Hadi, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
yeah, peace out. We'll see you soon.